Welcome to my channel. Today I'm going to show you how to use my flexible cake smoothers. How to use my smoothers. I've iced my ganache cake here, and I start by going across the top of the cake just to make sure there's no big air bubbles. I use my round smoother. Now, using the side part of your hand, just go around the top edge and make sure your icing is secure there. If your icing is going to tear, this is where it will tear. So always just secure that part. Now, using your hands, tug your icing out gently from your cake and then gently back in again against your cake. This is ganached, and I've brushed with some boiled water first to make sure it's nice and tacky so my icing sticks. This is just normal store-bought icing, nothing fancy. And as I said, just gently away from your cake and then press back in towards your cake to stick it nicely. When you start doing this, if you've got one side that's slightly shorter by, say, an inch or so, start on your longer side, work your way around to your smaller, shorter side, and you will find as you come around, you do actually have enough icing to fill that little gap that might have been a little bit short. Coming to the end here, and gently ease out and push back in so you don't end up with a fold. Go around the base just to make sure it's properly stuck with your hands. Using an FMM smoother, I'm just using the corner of it to press my icing down towards my board. I'm creating a line here where I want to cut off my excess icing. And using a sharp knife, put this knife just in under your cake board and gently turn your turntable. I'm not actually turning and moving the knife. I'm just turning the turntable to cut off any excess icing here. And I hold my knife at an angle so it doesn't cut the actual icing on my cake. Remove any excess and set aside. I use excess to make darker colors and to cover my cake boards because sometimes it does have bits of ganache in it. Now just remove any other little pieces that are still on your ganaching plate. Now using my round smoother, again I'm going around the top to make sure there's no massive air bubbles before I start smoothing. And if you do have air bubbles, just use a clean pin and gently press into the air bubble and pop it. Now, I'm using one of my long smoothers, spreading my fingers down the smoother. Just gently smooth around your cake. It smooths exactly where your fingers are. So I bend it slightly back and smooth in the middle where I'm going around. I use my turntable to smooth too. And you can see as I add a dent into my cake, I get my smoother and put pressure where the actual dent is and just smooth over it. I couldn't actually see the front of my cake here properly through my phone. So I do, as I go around, I realize there is still a little bit of a line, which you will see that I will work on. I can also see the air bubbles, and as I'm coming around, you can see that I see the air bubbles the other side. And again, just gently push a pin in at an angle and then smooth over to get rid of any air bubbles and massive problems on your cake. And as I come around here, this is where I see the line still from where I made the dent, and I'm just using my fingers over that part, and you can see it smoothed it out completely now. Hold your smoother down the base of your cake and use your fingers to press along the base. This is to push any sugar paste down towards your ganaching plate so that you don't have any gaps between the plate and your cake. And it just smooths it off nicely. You don't have to add a lot of pressure, and you don't have to do this too fast. Just gently go around your cake. To buff it and to kind of finish off the smoothing, I always use my round smoother. I find it easier to move up and down the cake as I'm going around again and making sure there's no massive air bubbles and getting rid of any air bubbles that need to be removed. You do need to go around a couple of times. It just helps to switch between the smoothers. I do like the round one because I find it easier to move around the cake. Go across the top again and make sure there's no massive air bubbles on the top before we start smoothing the top part of it. Go around the edges again and we will nearly be ready to do the top part. For the top part, I use my two big rectangles and I just hold one on the top, place it on the top but hanging over the edge. Bring the other one on the side up to my top one and gently bend back and just press them up to that one up towards the top one to create your nice sharp edge. I will also show you how to do this from the top so you can see the top view of this. Just gently go around creating your top edge. This is a view from the top, my smoother over the edge, bringing my other smoother up the side so that the smoothers are touching. You can see I just move my fingers along where I'm smoothing, and this holds it nice and tight to create that sharp edge. Just gently moving along. I do go over the same spot a couple of times just to create that nice sharp edge. And this is why it's quite essential to make sure there's no massive air bubbles on the top, because it will come over the top edge. Just gently smoothing around the top. You don't use the whole smoother. You don't smooth the whole side again. You're just worrying about this sharp edge across the top. Again, I just keep moving it around. Don't push too hard on the top either, because you don't want to leave massive lines on the top. You can smooth them out, of course, but it's just less work if you just gently go around doing little bits at a time and smoothing as you're going. And just keep moving the smoother to where you want to create a sharp edge. I sometimes go around 2 or 3 times just to create the sharp edge. I go around the top edge, then around the sides, and then the top again, and then the sides again, and it brings it all together. For elephant skin, just go over the parts just a little bit more. Now I just buff the edges again to make sure I've got a nice smooth cake, and to make sure that the edges are lovely and sharp to finish my cake. So I've got a flawless finish ready to go. And again, just around the sides, and normally with my round smoother across the top again to finish it. So it's ready for decorating. Perfect cake. Your cake is now ready to be decorated. I hope you found this really informative. I have got packs of smoothers available in my Etsy shop, and I will share the link below to my shop. Please like and subscribe and hit the little notifications button so you know when I share more videos. Thank you.